With the old cars, knowing the history just makes the car more interesting. And the car had a life, and it has a life. It's amazing to see a piece from 1971 live on and be enjoyed and be celebrated. My name is Mike Marett. I drive a 1971 Alfa Romeo Giulia Super. With my family being Italian, I just kind of fell in love with Alfa Romeo. We bought this car originally with the intention of shipping it up to Canada to participate in the Targa Newfoundland, which is a really radical street race. Has some requirements which included a fuel cell, a fire suppression system, etc. So those things were installed in the car. We used a mechanic in Ohio. He did a ton of work on the car. We took the motor out, rebuilt the motor. The only items that remain on this car from new are, of course, the body itself and maybe the dashboard. The car never made it to the Targa Newfoundland because of COVID. That was when we were scheduled to go up there, and the race was canceled. So from there, when the car came here, Michael and I drove it from Ohio to Connecticut. It was an amazing experience, the two of us.
And during that drive from Ohio, I absolutely fell in love with the car. It just touched on everything I was looking for when I got behind the wheel of a car. Shortly after, and I'm pretty sure it's within a month, maybe 30 days, I had another one from Amsterdam in a container on a boat coming East Coast so I can, with my closest friend, have these beautiful little boxes and zipping around together. My name is Michael Roth. I drive a 1971 Alfa Romeo Giulia Super. There is a car for the person, for the road, for the time, for the needs of your life. When I go to purchase a car, it has to tick those boxes.
So I think with the Giulia, especially cars of this vintage, very few end up being the same because they do require so much love and maintenance in order to keep them on the road. So although Michael and I ended up with the same model car from the same year, obviously they look incredibly different, and pretty much everything about them is different, including the way they drive. We bought this car to do something pretty specific, but ended up not being able to get there. But we kept the car because I just absolutely love it. For those that are really passionate about these old cars, is really what you're building is community around a common interest. And in this case, it's great design, it's the smells, the sounds. To me, this is rolling artwork.
While the Giulia looks like a boxy car, its stats speak for themselves. Being the first production car designed in a wind tunnel, while it looks like a shoebox, a beautiful Italian shoebox, it is actually very aerodynamic, even for today's standards. So for me, I like that awkwardness. I like that it's not something you see on the street. You're either gonna get one of two responses. Either that's amazing, I've never seen something like that, it's beautiful, I love it, or I get a history. It resonates as a core foundational visual that they saw on the road growing up. And for me, having never had those memories, it just gives off everything I want when I get behind the wheel and when I get out, from the sounds to the visuals to the lines of it to the looks I get from my people driving past. It brings me all the happiness.
The ability to hop in a car like this that looks a certain way and smells a certain way and sounds as it does just unlocks a new level of joy. This particular car, lived most of its life in Italy, and it was imported into the US in the late 90s. Dana Loomis is a gentleman who brought it into Durham, North Carolina, and they converted this car to a full race car, and they raced it and campaigned it at a ton of tracks, from which it went to the West Coast. A gentleman named Andrew Watry, he actually had a twin to this car as his daily car, but then this one was his race car. From him, when he chose to put it up for sale, it went to ultimately Santos Italian Car Service. Anyhow, what Anthony and his team at Santos did was really bring this car back to life and converted it so that it could be used on the street as well. They also did full repaint in the original color, which is Verde Muschio.
This car started its life as an Alfa Squadra Bianca racer in Italy and was purchased by a Dutch tuner, Eric Boyer, brought to Amsterdam, where they pulled a 1.6 liter engine out of it, put a tuned 2 liter into it, created a lowering suspension kit, and created 3 prototype cars, this being the 3rd and final prototype of that car. And then when I brought it to the States, I further did modifications on it, and I did some hot cutting of the seats so my stance was proper when I would sit in it, and I got the car situated that works for me as a driver.
From a design perspective, I added the white nose cone, which I think also helps to set the car off from a visual perspective. Car's a blast to drive. Really capable, solid motor, 1600, not original to the car. New, been heavily modified and upgraded, as I mentioned. Very capable on the roads, happy at the track. We bring it on a lot of rallies, coming from here in Connecticut up to Vermont and back.
Reliability in classic cars is a touch and go. The level of technology at the times of these cars' productions, you can only improve them just so much.
Knock on wood, this car's not let me down. Can't say that for all of the Alfas of the world. But yeah, I mean, I think, for me, it's been regular maintenance, the Italian tune-up, and then just driving it when I can so that all the fluids move through the car, and then continue to research the car and figure out what else we might need to do, just be it preventative or to enhance the performance, and then leaning in as a gift to the car to keep it going.
You have to do constant care. These cars were not designed to work to 200,000 miles without issue. These cars were meant to make it to a certain life, and that was the end of it. So they take constant upkeep. They take constant attention. As with all things, things break. And there I am on the side of the road, fixing yet another Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, it's always fun when time allows to pull out the old cars and go for a spirited drive through the hills by the reservoir here in Connecticut. It's a gift, and I recognize that we're really fortunate to have this car at this moment in time in this community with great friends, and being able to rip them around and have a little bit of fun, lots of smiles, and I'm sure I speak for Michael and the rest of us that have the opportunity to enjoy these cars, that we're really grateful, and also we like to have a lot of fun with them.
With Mike and I having the same car, what it allows for me is being able to look at the beauty of my own car in Mike's car. It's about the sounds and the access to power and the need to use every bit of juice just to get to the next stoplight or the next stop sign, or just to keep up with normal traffic. It makes you work for it. It makes you earn your turns, which I appreciate.